They told you beauty was about what you could measure. They told you that desire was defined by curves, by exaggeration, that size defined womanhood. They taught you that the only way to be seen was to be loud. For centuries, society, media, and even art have sold us this one singular, amplified version of femininity. It's a story told in magazines before we could even read. It's whispered in movies, and it's shouted from billboards. It has become the silent soundtrack of our lives, the yardstick against which every woman is measured. And we were taught that more was always better, that bigger was always stronger. But what if I told you that was a lie? Not just a small white lie, but perhaps the greatest deception ever sold to both men and women. A lie that has kept us chasing shadows while ignoring the substance. What if I told you that science, psychology, and the fundamental truth of human connection tell a completely different and far more powerful story? What if the very thing the world called less, the quiet, the subtle, the balanced, what if that is where the deepest, most potent form of feminine power has been hiding all along? Today, we are not talking about judgment. We are not here to compare one body to another. We are here for an awakening to what true sensual and feminine energy really means. Because the body doesn't define desire, energy does. Attraction isn't born from what you see. It's born from what you feel. The body doesn't define desire. Energy does. We have been fundamentally conditioned to believe that attraction is an inventory, that it is instant, that it is purely visual, a checklist of physical attributes we are taught to value, or taught we must be. We are taught to look for a partner, as if love is a simple act of observation, but real, lasting connection. The kind that truly shakes you to your core. It isn't an image. It is a frequency. It is not something you find with your eyes. It is something you tune into with your entire nervous system. A photograph can show you a shape, but it cannot show you a vibration. It cannot capture the warmth a person radiates simply by existing. It cannot capture the profound sense of safety in their presence, or the unique, quiet rhythm of their emotional world. Our culture is obsessed with the surface, the shape, the size, the visual, the performance of femininity. But this is a hollow pursuit, because true intimacy is never born from what you see. It is born from what you feel in the presence of another. It's the unspoken language, the energy beneath the skin. Let's talk about science, because this is not just poetry, this is biology. When you feel that sudden, undeniable, magnetic pull of attraction, it is not just your visual cortex, the part of your brain that processes sight, that is firing. The real event is happening much deeper. It is happening in your limbic system. This is your emotional brain, your ancient primal brain, and the limbic system. It doesn't care about a cup size. It doesn't respond to shape. It responds to emotional resonance. It is scanning for safety. It is listening for the tone in their voice. It is feeling the rhythm of their confidence, the authenticity of their laugh. This is why you can meet someone who, on paper, checks all the boxes visually, but you feel nothing. It's static. And it is also why you can meet someone who society might overlook, someone small or quiet, and you feel an electric, undeniable pull. Your limbic brain isn't seeing a body. It is recognizing a frequency that feels like home. This is the source of that magnetic woman. The one who can walk into a room, no flash, no noise, no exaggeration, and still, she commands the space. Not because she is demanding to be seen, but because her energy is so grounded, so comfortable in her own skin, that she creates her own center of gravity. Her energy simply says, I am whole. I am present. A physically exaggerated form might capture attention, but it is a woman's energy that holds interest. Attention is fleeting. Interest is the beginning of connection. One is a spark. The other is a flame. A breast size does not dictate femininity. Presence does. What is presence? It is the way a woman listens. Not just with her ears, but with her entire being. It is the quality of her attention. It is the stillness she holds. It is the profound sense of being seen that you feel when you are with her. That is her magnetism. And there is a powerful, often overlooked benefit, a hidden advantage. For those women who did not grow up with the constant, easy validation of society's exaggerated beauty standards, when the world outside does not automatically affirm you for your shape, you are forced to build a world inside. When your worth is not handed to you by the mirror, you must excavate it from your soul. You are forced to develop different tools. You learn to listen instead of just waiting to be heard. You learn to observe instead of just performing to be observed. You are compelled to tune inwards. You develop intuition. You develop empathy. You learn to read the energy in a room, to sense the truth behind the words, to understand the subtle shifts in emotion that most people miss. This is not just a comforting theory. This is foundational developmental psychology. Psychological studies have long shown that individuals who experience early self-comparison, those who feel outside the prescribed norm, often become hyper-attuned. They are required to navigate the world with a different set of senses. They develop superior emotional intelligence. They become masters of the unseen world. They learn to read energy, not just attention. They feel more deeply. They listen more closely. They love more intentionally. Why? Because they have been forced to understand a universal truth that many never have to learn. Connection isn't performance. It's presence, that depth, that profound empathy, that sharp intuition, that sensual wisdom. It wasn't a consolation prize for what she lacked. It was the entire point. It is the curriculum of a soul that had to look deeper. While others were being taught how to look, she was learning how to see. And this inner awareness, this emotional attunement, it transforms how she shows up in relationships. A woman who has grown to love herself beyond appearance carries a quiet, grounded, unshakable confidence. She doesn't need validation. She radiates assurance. Her energy communicates something deeper, a kind of emotional gravity that draws others in, not with loudness, but with depth. And that is a power the mirror can never, ever reflect. So we have established this deep inner world, this emotional intelligence, this presence. But what about the outer form? What about the body itself? Here is the next truth they rarely talk about. Attraction isn't about exaggeration. It is about harmony. Our modern culture is obsessed with extremes. Bigger, louder, brighter, more. We have applied this more is more philosophy to everything, including the human body. We have been conditioned to believe that to be attractive, one must be amplified, an exaggerated version of a natural form. But the human brain, the subconscious mind that actually governs desire, it isn't seeking the loudest. It isn't seeking the biggest. It is seeking balance. It is wired to find beauty in symmetry, in the rhythm of a voice, in the effortless grace of a body at peace. The human brain is, by its very nature, a harmony-seeking organism. Let's look at the psychology of this. In evolutionary psychology, the deep, primal signals that the subconscious mind truly finds attractive are not signals of excess. They are signals of health, stability, and vitality. Excess in nature often signals imbalance. Harmony, on the other hand, harmony signals safety. It signals biological vitality and emotional stability. The subconscious mind is drawn to it, not because it's loud, but because it feels aligned. It feels true. And this is where the woman with a naturally balanced, perhaps smaller form, embodies a power she may not even realize she has. Her form doesn't shout. It communicates. It communicates approachability. It communicates comfort. It communicates authenticity. She doesn't rely on extremes to feel feminine. She doesn't need to perform her womanhood. Her magnetism, instead, flows through the simple, confident, graceful way she carries herself. Psychologists describe this as embodied femininity. It is the state in which a woman's inner energy and her outer form are in perfect sync. There is no conflict. There is no trying. There is just being. When a woman accepts herself exactly as she is, her energy field stabilizes. Her posture changes. Her tone softens. She becomes magnetic. Not because she is trying to be seen, but because she is already home within herself. That kind of balance, that kind of harmony, radiates a frequency that both men and women instinctively recognize as beauty. So no, the size of a woman's body doesn't determine her power to attract. What does is the balance she embodies. The quiet confidence that says, I am whole exactly as I am. That is the kind of harmony that doesn't just catch attention. It holds it. Because balance, not size, is what makes desire feel safe enough to stay. Now, let's tie all of this together. We have the energy. We have the emotional intelligence. We have the harmony. But none of it can truly be activated without the final, most crucial element. Every single study on attraction, from psychology to neuroscience, from behavioral economics to sociology, they all point to one singular, undeniable truth. Confidence is the language of desire, but we must be very clear about what this word actually means in this context. This is not the loud, brittle confidence of arrogance. It is not the superficial noise of showmanship. It is not a performance designed to get attention. In fact, it is the opposite of a performance. The confidence I am speaking of is quiet. It is internal. It is the grounded, unshakable, profound comfort that comes from knowing and loving your own body. It is the deep, internal state of peace a woman finds with how she looks and how she feels. When she is no longer at war with the mirror, when she is no longer chasing validation, she begins to radiate self-trust. That is the frequency. That is the magnetism. And this comfort, this self-acceptance, translates directly into intimacy. Research from the renowned Journal of Sexual Medicine reveals a powerful truth. It found that people who experience high body satisfaction, note, not body perfection, but body satisfaction report significantly higher levels of both emotional and physical pleasure in their relationships. Why? The answer is simple, but it is life-changing. Because when the mind is not consumed by insecurity, when it is not constantly auditing itself, judging itself, hiding itself, it is finally free. It is free to be fully present. And presence creates connection. Connection creates depth. A woman who accepts her body, every line, every imperfection. She invites her partner to do the same. She leads not with appearance, but with energy. Her touch feels genuine because it is not hesitant. Her laughter is unguarded because it is not self-conscious. Her presence feels free. There is no performance. There is no pretending. There is just pure, authentic being. And that authenticity is what awakens an intimacy that feels real, not rehearsed. But there's one final layer, the place where every single spark of attraction, every rush of connection, every heartbeat that quickens when two people lock eyes actually begins. It does not start in the body. It does not start in what we see. It starts in the mind. The mind is the most powerful sexual organ we have. And when it is engaged, no physical feature can compete. Neuroscience tells us unequivocally that true, lasting attraction is born from psychological resonance. It's that moment when two people share an emotional rhythm. It's the curiosity, the laughter, the intellectual respect, the shared depth, the trust. When that connection happens, their brains release a surge of dopamine, the pleasure chemical. But it doesn't stop there. As that safety and emotional presence are felt, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, begins to flow. This is why some of the strongest, most electric chemistry happens, not in the most perfectly matched couples, but in those who truly understand each other on a mental and emotional level. When a woman feels mentally and emotionally seen, her body naturally awakens. Her nervous system relaxes. Her energy expands. This is where real intimacy begins. In the silent, unseen language of two minds, recognizing each other. The mirror cannot reflect that kind of beauty. Only presence can. And here's the truth most people miss. Physical attraction fades without mental stimulation. It is a fire without fuel. But when desire is rooted in an emotional and intellectual connection, it does not fade. It evolves. It matures. It becomes richer. It becomes unbreakable. And gentlemen, let me speak to you directly, heart to heart, not as a teacher, not as a voice behind a screen, but as a woman and as someone who has studied the deep psychology of feminine energy, love, and connection. I have seen it countless times. Good men, honorable men, chasing the image of beauty that society sold them while missing the essence of the woman who could have truly changed their lives. You have been trained to look for the exaggeration, the obvious. You've been told that attraction is a visual sport. But I have sat with men who realized, far too late, that what their soul truly craved was never found in an appearance. What you truly crave is not perfection, it is presence. So, my message to every man watching this is simple. Stop searching for the woman who looks ideal and start recognizing the one whose energy makes you feel alive. Find the one whose intelligence challenges you, whose confidence soothes you, whose presence makes you feel, perhaps for the first time, completely and totally seen. Because when you connect with a woman who is emotionally intelligent, confident, and in harmony with her body, no matter her size. She will meet you at a depth you didn't know existed. And when that happens, you will finally understand. It was never about how she looked. It was always about how she made you feel. So, the truth is clear. True feminine power was never in the form. It was always in the frequency. It is not found in the measurement of a body, but in the magnitude of an energy. It is the harmony she embodies. It is the emotional intelligence that gives her depth. It is the quiet, grounded confidence that says, I am whole. And it is the power of her mind to create a connection that no physical form can rival. Size does not determine depth. Presence does. If this message opened your mind, if it made you feel seen, do not just keep it to yourself. This is more than a video. This is a new conversation. Our job together is to change this dialogue. Share this message. Reflect on it. Talk about it. And most importantly, start seeing women and start seeing yourself with new, compassionate, and awakened eyes. Because the moment you stop measuring beauty, you finally, truly begin to see it. Thank you for awakening with me.